Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump straight into it. So for the people that are catching this live on Facebook, feel free to stop by and tell me where you're checking in from. And the people that are catching the premiere back on YouTube, I'm still on probation over there. But people who are catching the playback over there, definitely I'll be there for you to comment. I'll be in the chat box or whatnot. But we're live on Facebook. If you want to catch the live episodes, they're here on Facebook, on the Investor Show Facebook page, princedykes.mba, Royal Financial Investment Group. I think there's a couple more pages we're probably live on as well. But we do also playback on iHeart and the podcast, wherever you catch the podcast from. But anyway, as you guys and girls can see, we got a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about 5 ways Uber today looks like Facebook in 2013. So now people came to me, and when I made this post yesterday, a day before, and people said, "Well, Prince, why do you say that? Are you saying that because you hope it turns into Facebook? Because you're invested in it? What's going on?" The first caveat I want to say to everybody, because I already know what people are going to do. They're going to take this video probably 5 years from now if Uber files for bankruptcy, and they're going to go back and say, "Oh, Prince, you said Uber was a good company. It turned out to be a bust or whatnot." No, that's not what the case is. The case is I'm always with solid investment principles, with reading fundamentals, reading financial statements, looking at good companies. But every now and then, I like to look at a small, unprofitable company that has a great opportunity to become the next big thing. That's the only reason why. So Uber is my little sprinkle. 10, no more than 10% of your portfolio goes to this, right? So, and what I mean by that is that in the beginning you should be very conservative. Get index funds. Then from index funds, get large cap companies that pay you nice little dividends. Then on top of that, you can catch a little sprinkle of a little fire. What Buffett likes to call them, cigarette, not cigarette, cigar cigar butts, where they got one little puff in them or whatnot, whatever the case may be. So today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys and girls 5 ways that Uber looks like Facebook in 2013. Uber IPO means it did its initial public offering back in. It is initial public offering back in June. No, not in June 2012. It's like June 2012, May or June of 2012, right? Uber just did its initial public offering last year. So when Facebook came out in 2012, to give a little backdrop of the story, when Facebook came out in 2012, it was a new thing. People came out and said, "Hey, Prince, are you going to invest in the Facebook?" And I said, "Oh, no, of course not. That's just a website. It's just a website. It's unprofitable. Nobody knows what it's doing. I don't think about it now. I don't know, whatever, right?" Facebook came out, the IPO plunged for a while. Then, you fast forward 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. Now look at it today, over 200 something dollars, zero debt, a pile of cash on the books. The only knock I have against it is one stream of revenue. So now it is the big boy. It is the leader of social media. So I'm gonna give you guys and girls 5 ways that I think that they have a lot of similarities. And of course, get your Investor Show cup mug. It's the only way to read your financial reports. All right, first one, number one. Before we get into it, hey, how you doing, Lashana? Miss Lashana, catching it live. Number one, unprofitable. Right? Both of these companies are unprofitable. Facebook was unprofitable when it came out. Facebook was very unprofitable when it came out. Uber is unprofitable right now. Facebook is now profitable. Facebook makes its money one way. It has one revenue stream, and that's through advertising, right? So Facebook has a lot of cash, little to no debt. It owns Instagram. It's looking to buy other things. I think it just brought Gippy or whatnot. That's what companies do in a downturn. So that's the way we have to look at it. So Facebook was unprofitable in 2013. And also, when you look at Uber, Uber is unprofitable right now. That's the number one similarity. Usually, when I see a company is unprofitable, I stay away from it not because I think it's a bad company, but there are so many other companies that are profitable. But every now and then, you can find a needle in the haystack. Number one, they both were unprofitable. In 2013, Facebook was just a website that people didn't know how it was going to make money. Uh, MySpace had just died. There had been no other social media companies that had gone public. So everybody was wondering, will this company become profitable? How is it going to become profitable? I don't know about Facebook or whatever the case may be. So both of the companies were unprofitable. That's the number one similarity they have in 2013. Let me get some of you guys and girls comments. Brandon said, I sold Facebook too early. Yeah, I owned Facebook a couple times. I owned it, brought some more, sold some of it, owned it again. But now, of course, I own a little bit somewhere in my portfolio as well. Willie, what's going on? Willie said, "What's up, bro? Appreciate it. Thanks for checking it out, checking out the live." Brandon said, "Yes, brought for 400 million. Yes, this is why. This is what companies that do. This is what companies do. They brought Gippy for 400 million. Yes, this is what companies do when they have a large cash pile in a down economy. Companies that have little to no debt with a large cash pile goes and start eating up the little guys. Right? Companies with a lot of debt. Guess what they start to do? They start to find ways to manage their debt. Facebook really hasn't been affected by the coronavirus besides maybe its employees working from home, but I saw that they probably was looking at their workers are probably gonna be working from home forever. So that's the first thing. Number one, both companies were unprofitable in 2013. Number two, new sector. When Facebook came on the market in 2012, when Facebook came onto the market, we had never seen anything like it. Only thing we knew before that, the big thing was MySpace. Nowadays, we got Twitter is public traded company. You have Spotify as a publicly traded company. Facebook went out and brought Instagram. Facebook is a publicly traded company. Pinterest is another publicly traded company. All of these social media companies. But when Facebook came out in 2012, it was the first one. And I want to give you guys something, teach you guys something too. Tell you guys who don't remember, when Facebook came out, there was no pictures on Facebook. There was no videos on Facebook. There was no live streaming on Facebook. Facebook was just college kids who put up a status. That was it. College kids who put up a status. Nothing else fancy. Later on, it got to pictures. Then it got when it went from pictures, then it went from video. Because you had YouTube had videos. So Facebook incorporated videos. Then when Periscope came out and started live streaming, guess what? Facebook started live streaming. Now you see Zoom is doing all of this doing these big meetings. Guess what? Facebook has now incorporated its own little Zoom. Remember, everybody got on Snapchat and everybody had all the little filters. Guess what? Facebook went out and brought the company that created the filters for Snapchat and incorporated them into Facebook. Now you got stories on Facebook, stories on Instagram, right? Right. So that was the second thing. Also, Facebook at one time tried to buy Snapchat, but Snapchat wouldn't be brought. I think it was like $3 billion. Brand new sector. You look at Uber. Uber is in the ride share sector, ride sharing. This is brand new. When it came out, you got Uber, you got Lyft, then you got everybody else. So the only two names that are there are Uber and Lyft. This is a brand new sector. Lyft came out first, but Uber was like a month or two behind it. So they IPO'd at the same time. Uber is actually older, but Lyft IPO first. So they first came to the sector. So it's a brand new sector. Facebook was a brand new sector that I looked at and I said, what? Who going to invest into some social media? Then how do you make money? And everybody said, well, they're going to start charging people to use Facebook. I said, man, that's crazy. I'm not going to pay to use Facebook. But they found a way through ad revenue and advertising to be able to make a lot of money through Facebook. Right? It's the same thing when you look at Uber. Uber's in a brand new sector. This whole ride share thing, it is revolutionary, but we don't know how is it gonna make it, right? So we get some of y'all comments that are commenting live. How you doing, Miss Melanie? She says, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. How you doing? Nice to check us out live. So number two, brand new sector. Uber is in the rideshare sector, which is a brand new sector that IPO'd last year. Facebook, when it came out in 2012 and 2013, it was the first one. There was no Snapchat is public now. Pinterest is public now. Twitter is public now. Of course, Facebook is there. All these companies that are public now, they was not public back then. Uber came out in a brand new sector of rideshare, right? Now, let's go into the third reason. Big backing. Prince, what does that mean? Big backing. I learned in business that you can almost gauge someone's level of success depending on who's backing them. A lot of us have great ideas, things we want to do, but it's depending on who's backing you is really going to tell how far you're going to go. For prime example, if you are a news anchor and you are on CNN, you're going to get a whole lot more opportunities than someone who starts out with their own podcast. Why? Because you got CNN backing, just like an independent artist versus someone who has a major record deal. The backing, you get the marketing, you get the push, you get the capital to do things. What I mean by big backing, Facebook, when it came out, and right now, Facebook has a lot of backing. It has a lot of backing from Vanguard when it came out. Right now, when you look at Uber, 67% of the shares of Uber are owned by institutional investors. They're owned by investment managers. They're owned by banks. They're owned by insurance companies. They're the largest shareholders in Uber, Fidelity, Vanguard. Those are the people that own Morgan Stanley. They're in the top 10% of the people that own Uber, right? So Uber has a lot of people that have billions of dollars backing it. It's backed by some big people. Same thing with Facebook. When Facebook came out and went public, everybody brought shares. They had a lot of big people backing them, right? So the same thing, both of them have big backing in a brand new sector, and they started out unprofitable. 2012, 2013, Facebook was not profitable, but it had some big backing, right? That's probably why since it went public and it got money from the public, that's probably why it's debt free today. Instead of getting its financing from banks, it got its financing from the public and backing. So backing means a lot. Just like in the book world, if you're an independent author and you self-publish your book versus if you publish with a Penguin or a Simon and Schuster or whatever the case may be, you have a lot of backing. You're going to get a bigger push. You're going to get more exposure. You're going to get connected with other people that are connected inside of the publishing company that's going to help push and market you and promote you. So all about the backing. So backing means a lot. Facebook had a lot of backing back in 2012 and 2013, even though it was unprofitable in a new sector. The same exact thing with Uber. Now let's go on to number four. Number one in sector. Prince, what do you mean by number one in sector? Everybody has a sector. If I told everybody, hey, what's the number one company in the drink world? Not drink in general, but in the soda world, everybody would say Coca-Cola. If I said, well, who's number one in fast food? People probably say, hey, McDonald's. If I said, who's the number one e-commerce? Everybody probably would say Amazon. Who's the number one grocery retailer? People would probably say Walmart. You guys and girls catch my drift. All these different sectors, who is number one in your sector? In the technology world, who's number one? Apple, right? Followed by Microsoft. In the airline world, who's number one? You got Southwest Airline, according to market cap. Uber is number one in sector, followed by Lyft. Uber has a total assets of 31 billion, right? Versus Lyft had about 5 billion. So second place is so far between Uber and Lyft. It's number one. It is the biggest. People even call Lyfts Uber. Hey, can you call me an Uber? Even if they're talking about a Lyft, right? So Uber has a strong brand. When people say Uber, they're talking about ride share. Most of the case may be. The second thing is, not only are you number one in the sector, you have three ways you make money. Uber has three ways it makes money. Uber makes money three ways. Number one is ride share, picking up somebody, giving somebody a ride. Boom, it makes money that way. Number two, Uber Eats, which was very good last sector. Now, what did it do? What was number three? Uber Freights. So it has Uber Eats, Uber Freights, and it does ride share. The number two person, Lyft, only currently has ride share. Another thing, Uber just spent like $1.3 billion buying the biggest ride share company in the Middle East, right? So it's number one in its new ride share sector, right? So why does that mean so much? Because guess what? If that sector was to take off, who do you think is going to benefit the most? Probably the guy who's in the number one position. For prime example, just look at the Spotify deal with Joe Rogan. Spotify just did $100 million deal with Joe Rogan to come to Spotify exclusively. Why did they do that? Why did they pick Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan was the #1 podcast in the world. So when they wanted to go get somebody, when the industry started, when the podcast world started to take off and show its value, they went and got the top person. The top person went and got $100 million deal. So let me get some of y'all guys and girls comments. Brandon says KO Coca-Cola. Yeah, yes, Coca-Cola is #1. You're right. Wayne said, yo, I'm here, big bro. Dunkin' Donuts was the answer to your question. You all right, Wayne Sutton. I didn't get a chance for today's question. It was about who had the total revenue, who reported the largest total revenue in first quarter 2020 out of Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. The answer is Dunkin' Donuts. Correct, Wayne. Aloha. What's going on, Larry? Thanks for checking me out. Thanks for supporting. Jamie said Uber Eats. What's going on? Miss, you probably gonna end up with some Uber Eats yourself too, just so you know. Wayne said Uber Freights, Uber Eats. Do I think the Grubhub deal gets done? I think they already pulled out of that deal. So Ashton, I think they already pulled out of that deal with the Grubhub deal. Wasn't something I was crazy about them doing because Grubhub was unprofitable. Uber was already unprofitable. I felt like they should be taking, fixing themselves in the house. So I didn't like that. LaShonda, I didn't know about that. I didn't see you said Uber telemedicine, but I did hear about they were going to do that. I did hear about like Uber jumping into other spaces, but that's the thing to think about it, right? Uber #1 in this sector. What does #1 in this sector mean? When the sector take off, the person in #1 position will be in that position. You're right, Mish. I'm just waiting for the right time. I see what you wrote. He said he wrote, hey, yeah, just wait on the right time. So right now the market is too happy. I gotta wait till everybody get depressed and the stock market go back down. Then you'll be good to go. Right? So here we go with number 5. This is going to tie into number 4. The number 5 reason. It's a game changer sector. Game changing sectors. Okay, Prince, what does that mean? Game changing sector. What I mean by game changing sector is when you look at Facebook. When Facebook came out in 2012, 2013, when it went public, I think it really came out in like 2011, 2010. Facebook has changed the way we socialize, right? It started the social media. I won't say started, but it elevated the social media world. The world will never go without some form of social media again, right? Uber in the rideshare sector. 5 to 10 years from now, kids that are 10 years old right now, they won't even know what a taxi cab is. Ask yourself, when was the last time you caught a taxi cab? If this sector was to go away completely, you think people are just going to wake up and start catching cabs again? No. Why is it important? Because I don't think this sector can go away and we're just going to go back to the old way of doing business. I don't think they're going to say, rideshare, get out of here. Everybody, big yellow cab, catch a cab. No, I don't think people are going to be doing that again. The last time I caught a cab was in New York City. And the only reason why I caught the cab, because when I was getting ready to look for an Uber, it was a cab right in front of me. So I just jumped right into it. Even though when I was in New York, I did use Uber most of the time anyway, when I need to get from place to place. But I tell people all the time, a game-changing company or sector, this whole rideshare sector, I don't see it going away. It may be small, it may become big. We don't know, right? But the whole idea is that the world is not going back to the way it once was before this sector existed. Now that we're in the social media world, I do not see social media going away and everybody getting cable TV and just watching TV like we did 10 years ago. Cable is on life support and is almost dead, is on its way out of here. That's how I feel with cab companies. Taxi cab companies are on their way out of here. Rideshare will be the new way that we will go into the future until somebody else change it. The only disruption I can see in rideshare is self-driving cars. Uber is practicing on self-driving cars. So is Google. The only thing about it is Google got so much other stuff going on, it doesn't specialize in it. Uber is someone who's going to specialize in it. Just like when you look at the deal that was done by Spotify, even though iTunes is the biggest podcaster, guess what? iTunes is a division of Apple. They're getting so much money other places. They're not even really concerned about their podcast, right? Versus Uber, not versus Uber, versus Spotify. This is their bread and butter. Uber, their bread and butter is transportation, right? Google's bread and butter is not transportation. That's just something they just might get into. So that's the only disruption I can see. If self-driving cars came along and Uber don't keep up with technology, I don't see what it is. But the game changer is very important because you got to ask yourself, 5 or 10 years from now, what if this sector just went away? Do I think this sector can go away? As of today, no. Unless we advance to self-driving cars, I don't see us going back to cabs. Kids and teenagers at now, from 5 to 10 years from now, my son who's 9 years old, he's not even know what a cab is or how to catch a taxi. What is that? Right? So we get some of you guys and girls comments. Wayne says Spotify made 5 billion. Big dog on the Joe. Oh yeah. The market cap. The stock went up equivalent to about $5 billion worth in market cap. That's what everybody's talking about. By the stock going up by getting the number one podcaster, right? And what Joe Rogan did, he raised the value of all content creators. He raised the value of YouTubers, Facebookers, Instagram, anybody that create content. Their value has been raised. He has just set the market for whatever the case may be. So don't be surprised if you see, because you got to ask yourself, what's going to separate? What separates iTunes from Spotify, from Pandora, iHeart? All of them have free music. Okay, cool. What's going to differentiate between the two? Now they got the number one podcast of Joe Rogan. That makes everybody else in the industry, get their head together. Actually, yes, automation. That's the only big threat. If Uber, which I know they're doing research and development, they're trying to find a way to automate cars, and so cars can give people a ride and things like that. And since this is their bread and butter and they got big backing and they're the number one person in the sector, I put my money on that. They're going to probably be able to make it happen. Brandon said cabs are too expensive. Cabs are too expensive and cabs are old school. I've been following Uber. Another thing is Uber was once $47. It crashed down to $26. When the market crashed, it crashed down about $19 to $20. I think I first initially brought it around $26, $27 when I started buying a little bit of Uber. Today it's at about $33, $34 or whatnot. And when I look at it, this is not a company that I'm saying, oh, this is going to be the future. But when I look at it, they look so close to how Facebook looked. And how people talk about Uber today, it's the same way I was speaking about Facebook. I didn't believe in it. It was just a website. It wasn't even the hottest social media when it came out. People were still MySpacing. Some people were still on Black Planet, So you had all type of little dating sites that were out there. So Facebook was just like a college kid thing. You couldn't even put pictures on there. You couldn't put videos on there, but it slowly evolved. Facebook went to pictures, then it went to video, then it went to live video, then it started letting you stream, right? Me said, man, I need this self-driving car. I'm tired after work. I think it's really the legal part. I think the safety. I think everybody know how to get it self. Half of the cars are self-driving. I mean, Tesla's already self-driving. It's just the safety of it. I don't feel comfortable seeing a self-driving car coming down the road with me right as of today. But I know it's going to come. It will come. Technology, they will figure it out. Max B said once Uber gets Grubhub, it will have majority of the food delivery. Max B, what's going on? But yes, they were trying to get it. They tried to get it. The deal didn't go through. I think they wanted like 5 billion or whatnot. But guess what? Uber Eats, a division of Uber called Uber Eats, is bigger than Grubhub. Look at the quarter one earnings, Max B. Look at the quarter one earnings of Uber. Pull up the 10Q of Uber, and you will see they made something like $819 million from Uber Eats. Then go look at how much money Grubhub made. I can't remember exactly how much money Grubhub made, but I know it was way less than Uber Eats. So a division of Uber is already bigger than Uber Eats. The only thing I didn't like about the deal was both of them were unprofitable, and I think Uber should spend more time becoming profitable. So that's my five. My five for the people who didn't catch it all. Number one, both companies were unprofitable. They came out. People didn't know how they was going to make money. They didn't know if they was going to make it. They're on that verge. Uber is on that verge of becoming a boom or a bust. Right? It's that number one draft pick that's got drafted by the NBA, and he's Zoe. What's his name? What's his name? Zoe Williamson. Is it Zoe? Zion Williamson. They're trying to figure out, hey, is he going to be a boom or a bust? That's what Uber is at right now. It's an unprofitable company, but we don't know if it has all the backing. It has the name. It has the brand. We don't know if it's going to make it up or down. Number two, brand new sector. Brand new sector meaning the Uber came in the rideshare sector, which is brand new to the market. When Facebook came out, it was the first social media company that came out. There was now you got Twitter and Pinterest and Spotify, not Spotify, but Snapchat, all these other companies that are public now that are social media. But guess what? Facebook was the first one that came. Uber is one of the first ones that came too. Lyft was like a month early, but Uber was right there. It's in a brand new sector, just like Facebook was in 2012, 2013. Big backing. 67% of Uber shares are owned by institutional investors. Prince, who are institutional investors? That means not everyday people like you and I who are buying stocks. This means like banks, hedge funds, insurance companies, investment managers, big backing. 67% of the companies is backed by the top holders in Uber is Morgan Stanley, Fidelity, and Vanguard, right? Morgan Stanley also owns E-Trade. So they have very big backing. The same thing with Facebook. Even though Facebook came out, it was unprofitable, didn't make money. It has some big backing. Just like Tesla. How has Tesla been able to be not profitable for 12, 13 years? Because it has big backing, right? Number four, number one in the sector. Whenever I look at a sector, if I'm looking at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, I want to know who's the best in that sector, right? Who's the number one big dog in this brand new sector? It's Uber. Uber is sitting at like 31 billion in assets versus the number two spot is Lyft at like 5 billion in assets. So Uber is definitely the big dog in the new section. It makes money via three ways. So if that sector does take off, guess who's going to benefit the most? Uber. Just like social media became the way of life, guess who benefited the most? Facebook, because it was number one. Joe Rogan, people talking about Joe Rogan because of the podcast. When the podcast world took off, who's the first person to benefit? The number one person, who was Joe Rogan. He got $100 million deal. He just raised the value of the whole sector. Every podcaster, YouTuber, anybody that create content, he just raised the value of the whole sector. He just told all of these he just showed, hey, all you podcasters, but podcast hosts like the Spotify, Amazon, the Stitchers, and all this, unless you got talented people to do it, it doesn't mean anything. So number one in the sector. So it rides with the water. Number five, a game changer. Can this sector go away? 5 years from now, can we be like, man, we don't even do rideshare no more? I don't see us going back to the old way of taxi cabs. I think taxi cabs are a thing of the past. Ubers are way cheaper. They're more accessible. And guess what? Uber doesn't have to own any cars. It don't have to, just like Amazon. Amazon don't have to own any stores. Uber don't have to own any cars. Facebook, it don't have to own a computer or anything. Facebook didn't own anything. Facebook changed the world. Social media changed the world. Rideshare changed the world. Will we ever go back to catching rides like we used to? Probably not. Will we ever see a world without some form of social media? Probably not. So do I see it going away? No. The only thing about the game changer is if we get some form of automation. So those are my 5 reasons. Let me get into some of you guys and girls' questions. Max B's like, man, it's Zion. That's the Georgia side. Yeah, Zion Williamson. Yeah, you down there in New Orleans. You probably a Pelican fan too. I know you're a Saints fan. But yeah, that's another thing. Zion Williamson. We're trying to see. That's what Uber is right now. Uber is that Zion Williamson. It's in the big leagues. It got the money. It got the name. It's the number one in the sector. We're going to see if you're going to be a boom or a bust. Are you going to be the next LeBron James who lived up to the hype? Or are you going to be the next bust? I'm trying to think of a bust in basketball. Oh, I can't think of his name. What was the tall guy who had the bad knees? He never played. I can't think of his name. Wayne said, "Do you ever look into Nokia? Also, I can only afford to invest like $100 a month. Should I keep going? Plus, who use Grubhub, Uber Eats? I think Grubhub wants some of that. They have a lot of patents. They have a lot of technology that I think they're trying to get to. So that's what I think. But Wayne, no, you're doing right. You're doing it right. You're saying Nokia. No, I have not looked into Nokia, Wayne. I see because I got so many other. I get so many people that DM me about things to look into. I may look into that one. But also you invested $100 a month. Should you keep it up? I mean, what else you going to do? I want you guys to understand this. When people look at the word of investing, like Prince, I ain't got but $20, man. I ain't make with $2. Like, what other options do you have? If I don't invest, like people come onto my platform, they come onto my show, they be like, "Man, Prince, the stocks are rigged, and the government is against you." And I'm like, "Okay, so what am I supposed to do? I can't control the government. If I don't, if you made 5% on stocks, where else can you get that 5%? Can you? It's only three ways. Can you get it in real estate? You can't get no real estate for $100 a month for the most part, right? I mean, there are other ways to do it, but just for $100 a month, I can't put it in real estate. If I save it, that's an automatic loss because it doesn't keep up with inflation. What other option do I have? Can I start a business for $100 a month? Right? If you know some form of business you can start, maybe you could be a photographer or something like that or whatnot. But what else can you do with the $100 a month? It's not about how much money you're making. It's about options, opportunity costs. If I don't do this, what other options do I have? So yes, you're doing it right. He said, plus Grubhub. I never used Grubhub. I'm an Uber Eats guy myself. I think before that I did DoorDash. DoorDash is going public, and Airbnb and Robinhood. I saw. Yeah, you're right. Got to start somewhere, right? 100 better than zero. Exactly. You're 100% right. When he said, "Thanks so much, I can't wait until my portfolio at least hits 100,000." If you keep doing what you're doing, right, you got to think about it. What's the old saying? What's the fastest way or what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? It's like with me. Nobody in my family, the generation before me, wasn't big investors, right? When I came into the game and I saw people that was investing $10,000, $50,000, 100 millions or billions of dollars or whatever the case may be, I used to always sit back and say, "Man, how do I get there? How did I do this?" or whatever the case may be. And guess what happened? I just had to start somewhere. I told myself, "Man, you know what? I got to start somewhere. Let me take this $20 and see what I can do with it." So yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. Yeah, I learned a lot. So a lot of what you guys are hearing today or seeing today is come from, a lot of you guys weren't even invested in 2012 and 20 when Facebook came out and went public. But I was around, right? I remember the market sentiment. I remember how everybody talked and how everybody felt when Facebook came out. Right? I know how I felt. Greg Odom, that's who it was. I see somebody said it, Greg Odom. Yeah, that's yep to me. Yep, Greg Odom. That's Greg Odom. Right now, that's what Uber. Uber can become LeBron James, or it can become Greg Odom. Right? It can live up to the hype, or it cannot live up to the hype. But being number one in this sector, being the only one in this sector, having the large capital, having the multiple revenue streams, having the big backing, and being a game changer, I think it would be a winner. It's a bet I'm willing to take at $34. Yep, Greg. That's it. Is what you buy. Yep. So yes. So anyway, guys and girls, that's going to be today's episode. I thank y'all for tuning in, for catching the episode or whatnot. Wayne said, "Are any invest? Yeah, there are plenty of investor. I mean, not right now, of course, because of coronavirus. But yes, always look out for it. And you're doing a smart thing, Wayne, because what you're doing is you're tuning into shows like this. You are tuning into podcasts, tuning into Facebook, tuning into YouTube channels, and you're going to see investor conferences. Not the one that's going to, hey, give me your money, take your money, do something crazy with it. But there are a lot of financial literacy conferences that are out there. You can go to shareholders meetings, Wayne. You can go to shareholders meetings to see what the company is investing in, to meet like-minded people. You have all type of webinars you see. You have all type of different type of investor conferences. You have authors, financial authors that do book signings. They usually do events around the country. So you just got to keep an eye out and an ear. So anyway, that's going to be today's, Jamise, what's going on? But anyway, that's going to be today's episode. I thank y'all for tuning in. I got to get out of here. I got a show tonight in Hawaii, but I thank y'all for tuning in. I want to give y'all that draw that line. Y'all drop some comments below for the people that catch the playback on YouTube. And until the next video, podcast, cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me do around the globe. Peace. Be safe, and I'm out.